So the Rockets lost to the Indiana Pacers 99-91. In this video, I gotta tell y'all what I learned about the Rockets, what I learned about Coach Silas, and what I learned about Kevin Porter Jr. right after this. The Chop Shop store is now open. Stop by the Chop Shop merch store and browse through our catalog of great products that show support for the Houston Rockets and for this channel. If you're a supporter and liker of the videos that we produce, stop over by the store and review some of these great designs and rep your city, rep your team, and rep the Chop Shop. That's the Chop Shop merch store. The link is going to be in the description of this video. Stop by there. The prices are low, the content is great, and the quality is A1. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop. Stop by the merch store, grab you something today. So before the game start, I had made a post on Twitter that asked, I wonder how Coach Silas is going to piss off the fan base today. With Kevin Porter Jr. out, you would expect that this would be a layup of a game for them as it relates to showing some creativity, showing something different than what we're doing when our best isolation player is out. But that was not the case. Essentially, what ended up happening is Coach Silas inserted the next man up to take a bunch of ISOs and run a bunch of pick and rolls, which to me tells me that this is what he wants to do. We complain about the ball movement and lack of structure on offense, and it's, we've complained about Kevin Porter Jr. and maybe it's him, maybe it's the players. It is not the players. This is what they're being asked to do. This is what we're being asked to do. And what I've learned from watching this game is that Coach Silas believes in his system wholeheartedly, regardless of the players on the court, which to me is a sign of a bad coach. It's one thing to be able to implement a system when the parts fit, right? So he was hired to come in to work with James Harden and Russell Westbrook in a system that's predicated on isolation and pick and roll. James Harden and Russell Westbrook are pretty good players. I mean, that is like a hand in the glove fit. But when you're drafting and adding young players that don't have that skill set, to force that to be your offense is almost incompetence, in my opinion, because there's nothing about our team that tells us that these are our strengths. Right now, if you go to NBA.com and look at the stats, the Rockets run the fifth most pick and rolls in the NBA. Do you know where we rank in the pick and roll points per possession? This is how many points we're scoring on each possession. We are 29th. We are one of the most frequent pick and roll running teams, but we are 29th in scoring out of that set. In isolation, we rank top 10, mostly due to the fact that is how we generate a lot of our buckets in points per possession, and of course with Sengun in the post in isolation. But that is not a sustainable style of offense, because if that's all you got, then you're going to blow big leads like we did to the Pacers. That first quarter that I was watching, I was just curious to see, because I just knew, and I posted this on Twitter as well, that Eric Gordon would probably have the highest usage game of his career, which Coach Silas presented an opportunity to be able to be creative, explore other options on offense. He showed us that he is dead set on what he wants to do with his offensive system. And why not, right? This is a system that was one of the most efficient offenses in NBA history in Dallas with Luka Doncic. But guess what? We don't have any Luka Doncic on these teams. And I'm getting to the point where I think that if Eric Gordon wasn't there and Jalen wasn't there, Knicks would have ran 25 pick and rolls in isolations. And if Knicks wasn't there, maybe Garrison Mathews would have ran 25 pick and rolls in isolation. It's the square peg round hole thing all over again that I've talked about in other videos. And this just confirmed a lot of the things that we thought about in the past about why doesn't he like Alperen Sengun? It's not that he doesn't like Alperen Sengun. Alperen Sengun doesn't fit the agenda. He's not a ball handler. He's not a guy that's going to dribble and run pick and rolls and be able to isolate. So he gets marginalized, despite the fact that teams around the league would kill to have a player that's that young, generating double teams in the post that can pass. You don't understand how valuable a skill set like that is in the NBA to have. Teams would kill for that. But he's being marginalized on the Houston Rockets because the coach has an offensive philosophy that he doesn't fit. Why is Jabari Smith being relegated to just being a pop and shooter? You know, set screens, pop out for the shot. And if he gets lucky, he might get a couple isolations here and there. Guys, I don't care if Jabari goes 0 for 50 every game. There are more ways to feature a 6'10 forward than pick and pop, given his limitations. There's a lot of movements and screens that you could do to get him open shots in other creative ways other than pick and pop. I haven't seen it. The reason pick and pop is the only way that we're doing it right now is because pick and pop is what you do out of the pick and roll. That is our bread and butter. So the move to start Bruno, to bench Sengun. Why isn't Sengun playing last year? Why does Eric Gordon get all this love? Why is everything catered around Kevin Porter Jr.? It is because they are just doing what the coach asked them to do. I'm not going to talk bad as it relates to the point guarding situation about Kevin Porter Jr. anymore. And the reason I'm not going to do that is because we have no other options. As long as Coach Silas is the coach, Kevin Porter Jr. is the only player, one of the few players on the team that can actually make his offense look realistic. And that is why he's always going to get priority. Sad to say. And it's not his fault. In fact, I've gained a new respect for Kevin Porter Jr. because when I made this realization that this is what we've been doing this whole time, it's not the guys that they don't want to do X, Y, and Z. It's because this is the offense. The offense is dribble, penetrate, drive, and kick, pick and roll, isolation. And it doesn't matter who the player is, they're going to run the same offense. There's no creativity. The game was pretty much just a big, to me, a big indictment on this system. And I'm starting to think the players don't believe in it. Everything doesn't have to be this hard in basketball. Where's the creativity? If you notice, the Pacers started trapping our guards. And I'm surprised more teams don't do this because I would do the same thing. And this is the opposite of the traps. If you guys remember, James Harden used to get trapped when he ran the pick and rolls. And for a different reason, though. James was being trapped, and sometimes Luka gets trapped because they're scorers. They're one of the top isolation scorers in NBA history. And teams just want the ball out of their hands because they want somebody else to beat them. For us, we're being trapped because they're daring our guys to make the right play. They're daring our players to make the right pass. Now, to the credit of Jalen and Eric Gordon to a lesser extent, I did see something that I liked. When they were getting trapped, and this was around the third and fourth quarter, they were passing out of those traps to Sengun on a short roll. This is a action, or this is a play or a pass that I've been begging for. Y'all, if you've watched my videos, I talk about the short roll a lot because when you have the skill set of Sengun, that is a way to get playmaking downhill off a guy that is not a downhill player. What I mean by that is when that trap comes and whoever the ball handler is passes it to the big that was screening for him, they're already on a roll. The reason it's called a short roll is because you don't get to the rim all the way. So you're short rolling. So it's really like a halfway to the basket. And while you're doing that, in a real offense, there'll be movement by the other players. And I saw a little bit of that today. In a real offense, when you have a big that's short rolling, that'll be pre-planned. Guys cut, and guys are screening off ball, because what you then have is you're putting the ball in one of your best facilitators' hands with a full open court, the defense in scramble mode, and you're allowing their floor vision to just dissect the defense. And the standard for this, Draymond Green. Draymond Green is one of probably the best short roll bigs in NBA history. I mean, literally they've won championships off of his short roll, because when you're playing a Steph Curry, you're going to trap Steph and you're going to trap Klay to not allow them to get a shot off. When you do that, they punish you because they're smart. They're going to move. They're going to cut. They're going to screen off ball and generate shots for the team. So I was encouraged to see that Jalen was able to read that and get the ball to Sengun, who made some great passes, especially to Tari that was cutting, but Tari just couldn't finish. So that short roll action, to me, damn the trap. That should be part of the offense. That should be part of the offense, because what you're doing is then you are allowing the pick and roll to facilitate offense with Sengun without him just being used as a screener and a roller. But are we going to get that? I don't know, because to do that, you have to be intentional about wanting to diversify your offense. And that's kind of where I don't see it happening. I think that was more of a forced thing. I think Jalen passed it out because he had to, but not as a game plan. If you watch the Warriors do this, they will start messing with you when you start trapping them. Because they'll do things like, they'll come up like fake the screen like they're about to screen. And when you're ready to set the trap, Draymond will just slip out of the screen, which they call ghost in the screen. He just slips out, and then you have two guys just standing there not guarding anybody, and there he goes to the basket for a layup, or he's kicking it out to a shooter that the shooter's defender has to come help because there's nobody else there. Diversity on offense is very, very important. We do not have a Luka Doncic. We don't have a James Harden, but everybody that has the ball on the Houston Rockets is expected to make those same reads as a Luka, as a James Harden. And this is a losing brand of basketball. At this point, if we don't draft a Luka or a James Harden or import one in free agency, we are going to be one of the worst teams for a long time, because we don't have the horses to run this race that Coach Silas wants to run. We don't have the horses to run this race. If you bring Wemby is not saving this. It's almost as if like the Rockets have to make a coaching change in order for them to draft a player that's not a high-level guard like Scoot, that could be the heliocentric center of the offensive universe, to make all the decisions, be a cold isolation player, make all the right passes, and be able to do that for 4 quarters in an 82-game season and into the playoffs. So that's where I'm at right now with this team. The offense, no matter how many buckets we make, it's not sustainable. You're not going to win any significant games in the future playing this brand of basketball. We saw it with literally one of the best isolation players and pick and roll ball handlers in NBA history. And we saw the limitations of where it could go. And we saw what it did to his body in the postseason, the fatigue, mentally and physically. We don't have the horses for that. And this is James Harden that played that heavy style and he wore down. There's not a lot of James Hardens being born. So, like, you guys know my rule. I don't call for any man to lose his job. But damn it, I ain't gonna be mad if he does. I'm not gonna say he should, but it's almost as if that the Rockets have to make a change by the time the draft comes, but I don't know if they will. The offense can work if you have one of those guys. We don't have those guys. In fact, the guys we have, the most talented guys we have, are not those types of guys. Jalen is not Luka or John Morant. Jalen is a off guard with playmaking capabilities that you need to cultivate. But he's not going to be the guy that's going to run 25 pick and rolls and isolate a billion times. That's terrible brand of basketball. Sengun has the skill set to be a hub where you could do so many things, but because you're so married to your offense and your beliefs, he's being used as a Bruno Fernando criminal. So I'm at the point where we're just going to ride out this season. We'll look at the incremental development things that we see, like with the short rolling, and see if things come up from there. But the system we're running is not it. Is not it. And you guys know that I try to be very objective. I just watched that film. That was some of the worst basketball that I've seen. Even that first quarter, I knew it wasn't going to do anything. I knew Eric Gordon wasn't going to sustain that. I knew we weren't going to sustain that. I knew we were going to blow the lead because you can't keep a lead when your buckets are so hard. The teams just got to hang around. We're going to let them back in. That's what the Rockets thing is. We always let teams back in. It happened with D'Antoni. It's happening with Silas. That brand of basketball is not sustainable. Team just got to hang around, chop wood, and they're going to be right back in the game. And it came true against the Indiana Pacers. We got the Warriors coming up on Sunday. That's going to be an interesting game. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to be excited to watch it just because I love their brand of basketball. I love the things that they do, because I feel like we have some players that could be that type if we ran that type of offense. But, you know, not too much love on the Warriors on the chop shop, but I do respect what they do. So what did you guys think about the game? Were you disappointed? Were you surprised? Was this something you expected? And where do you stand on Coach Silas? Y'all know where I'm at. I try to be very, middle of the road, but yeah, this one was a tough one to swallow. So I want you guys to let me know in the comments what you thought. What are your thoughts on what I just said? Was I being too harsh? Was I not harsh enough? Because y'all be telling me I'm soft on Coach Silas. So let me know in the comments. And remember, keep rocking with the Chop Shop. We're going to keep bringing that fire content.